What's up, Trekkies? Hi. So, there's a hell of a lot of news to do today, and I've been waiting for the tree guys to leave from the apartment complex, so there's probably gonna be a hell of a lot of cuts today in case they get really noisy. So yeah, we're gonna break into this one. Not new, weird format, because there's like, I gotta do the holiday ship, I gotta do, all the 23rd century ship stats, the temporal bridge officers, the temporal specialization. First, we're gonna start out with the console UI. That's a link below. I'm not gonna go over that one. We need to talk about ship stats and stuff that's happening in Star Trek Online computer. We can do all that console stuff when it finally comes out on the consoles. All right, so the format's gonna be that there's gonna be text on the screen here. And that's gonna be all the like the nitty gritty stats and stuff. I'm still gonna go over some of it, but I don't cover a lot of things because they're really repetitious. But the actual rather than clicking on the link, you'll see it all right here. So the summer event ship being the heavy escort, we're gonna put the stats right here. It's available for level 40. So you can be captain, I think that is, but anyways, you can have it that level and it'll take you all the way up to tier 6, to level 60, which is amazing for this ship. I mean, I like that because, I'm gonna get this thing on my tactical officer because he's only level 42 right now. It's got an interesting shield modifier. Most escorts I don't think have that kind of escort, but it's only got, like it says, 4 weapons up front. I think I was kind of right. It was either gonna be pilot or intel for the lieutenant commander. I just didn't think it was gonna be a universal. That seems kind of right. Obviously Commander Tactical because it's an escort, but it's Lieutenant Commander Engineering and Lieutenant Commander Universal Intel and a Lieutenant Science. So I could use this as a science officer fairly effectively. I don't use Intel abilities very much, so. And then an Ensign Tactical because why not just throw Tactical Team on there? I don't know. Turns really fast. It's got a decent impulse modifier because it's an escort. Obviously dual cannons. And there's the escort plus 15 power plus 15 weapons to plus 5 to engines. And the mastery package is apparently just an escort, not a heavy escort. So it's just precise weapon systems, accuracy, tactical maneuvering, all that stuff. And then the harasser mines, which we've gone over last time. We'll go over the console, which is the probes, which is it puts out 2 of them and they go around and they harass it. It's very simple. And then harasser mines are your beams and then pop up a thing, but only on scatter volley and fire at will. And only the first time it hits. Again, like I said, that's really useful if you see like a black hole or a gravity well or anything that's kind of holding everything together. Whereas mines don't explode at a single point, they explode in an area. It's also going to feature the new Vorgon bridge. No pictures of that. I have no idea what it's going to look like. Okay, so now we're going into the 23rd century. So the next expansion, if you've looked at the starter pack or the pack, it has all these low-level ships that are basically, here's ships to take you all the way up. So you can still use this new thing. I'm going to go over the general ability that is called molecular reconstruction mechanic. I'm going to go about that after I go through all of these stats because they're all going to have it and we'll go over that one at the end. So the Daedalus Class, which is a science vessel. It's the tier 2 ship, obviously a science vessel. Here's stats. It's got a quick turn rate, but for a low level ship, great turn rate. Obviously there's the plus 15 aux. Its console, Temporal Destabilizer Pro. What that thing does is it basically fires forward, similar to projected singularity, I'm guessing. It says it travels slowly forward, so maybe half the speed of projected singularity, but it disrupts the flow of time within 2 kilometers of the probe's path. And enemies are affected by their flight speed, their turn rate, and weapon firing cycles. Weapon haste. It says dramatically reduced for a short time. Then next up we have the Perseus Class, the escort, which is commander level, not lieutenant commander level, which is a tier 3 ship. Here's the stats. Obviously it's an escort. There's the lieutenant commander tactical, and then all the rest of the bridge officers and your console modifications, yada yada. It's got the M6 computer, basically a substantial boost to weapon damage, accuracy, defense, weapon cycle haste, and tactical bridge officer recharge rate. So that's cool. Not necessarily that great if, say you're a science officer and you want to use a science vessel to get more used to playing a science vessel. That's fine. Just use one of the Starfleet ones that you get. The commander one it's basically an upgrade from the Daedalus Class. You basically go from the Daedalus Class to the golf ball ship at that point. So fairly decent, fairly okay. But again, if you're a tactical officer, you go from this, but again, I'm not necessarily sure they're either going to create a new class that everyone's going to have, or you're still going to be got some confusing things going on here that's going on in my head. Gemini class cruiser, again, 4 nacelles, so this is weirdly at the same level as the Galaxy class. So you can either fly this, or I don't know if you'll be able to fly a Galaxy class. I don't know how this expansion is going. But anyways, here's the stats for that. Obviously, there's your commander engineering, so by that point, you're full-blown abilities. But again, if you're tactical or science, you don't have to use this thing. You can go on to your Defiant or your Intrepid. This thing only comes with 3 cruiser commands, which is taunt, weapons, and shields. It doesn't have the movement one. The Temporal Destabilizer Matrix, which is kind of a reactive ability. You activate it and it causes physical damage over time to nearby enemies and reduces damage resistance and shield hardness to all affected foes. It basically, you send out a little shockwave, a temporal shockwave, which sounds really cool. Those 3 consoles can be equipped on any ship, by the way. Take the Daedalus and you go to your, so you can grab like all the consoles and fly a ship that you want. So the battle cruiser, the Ranger class, which is for tier 5, this console, here's the stats. This console can only be used on the Ranger class. It has cruiser commands, as you can see, shield frequency and weapon frequency. I don't know why the movement one's not in there on either of these, but that's weird. It's a photonic decoy beacon. Photonic decoy is basically having that little like sensor thing that travels around people have behind them. It does the same when things get close into it. They're like, oh, I'm gonna attack that thing instead of attack you. It's a little taunting thing. Except rather than look like a little thing, it probably looks like your ship. I don't know, I haven't really used that much of ability. And it says the life of a temporal agent will take you across time, but I'm still not sure if you're gonna be, I would suspect that you're gonna have tactical science and engineering as a base, but you're gonna have like a Delta Operative sort of thing going on. Okay, so what I talked about, all of those ships, and I'm taking, well, I guess the tier 6 versions of all these, have this thing called molecular reconstruction matrix. To me, it sounds similar to like the command frequencies, but slightly different. You basically go into one of these configurations and there's defense, offensive, and support. And they each have little tiny tweaks that happen to your base stats. Defensive, reduction in flight speed and turn rate, but increases maximum shield power and incoming hull healing. You also generate a defensive counter. For offensive configuration, maximum engine power, speed, turn rate, but a reduction to incoming healing also generates an offensive counter every 10 seconds. Support, bonus to exotic damage, control strength, and auxiliary power. This comes at a small cost of energy weapon damage. Support configuration generates a support counter every 10 seconds. Really know the fine tunes of how this works, but I'm taking a wild guess that you can switch between these things pretty effectively for the molecular deconstruction beam. Activating this ability requires a total of 6 counters generated by defensive, offensive, or support configuration. Molecular deconstruction beam deals physical damage over time and disables the target. Cool, right? In addition to healing your hull over time. Now here comes the why there are different ones. So the power's damage scales with the number of offensive counters. The healing comes from the defensive counters, and the disable comes from the support counters. So I'm not sure like how often these will fall off, but if you can get all 6, you're gonna have one terrifying molecular destabilizing beam that also heals. One of those things you may want to blast at a Borg cube. Like I said, I don't know what their duration is. It didn't say much here. So now we're going to talk about temporal specialization. I saw that come up today, and I just the overview. I've not read this. I already read the ship stats out to Aaron because he doesn't. Leading the charge in the strange new area are those few brilliant and talented enough to be called temporal operatives. These specialists adhere to the tenets of the temporal accords and do their best to keep the time stream in proper shape, keeping reality itself from unraveling, all while simultaneously manipulating localized causality to aid themselves and allies in combat. This sounds interesting. Like, it sounds like it's going to be completely crazy if I get that multi-mission vessel. So, temporal operative is a primary specialization. Temporal operatives lean heavily on exotic damage and kit module abilities, belying their roots as a science-heavy specialization. Yay! Captains interested in exploring these types of abilities are likely to reap a greater benefit by investing in this specialization. It's a primary specialization, yay! Captains may instead slot it as a secondary, but they only wish to benefit from the first 15 abilities offered. Abilities may be purchased in this specialization. I mean, I'm currently primary on Intel. Intel? Command? I don't know, bro. The scaling passives, as long as you have the Temporal Operative specialization active, you will gain +5 to 50 exotic particle generator and kit performance skill. Mother of God. The Starship Trade, as with previous specializations, purchasing abilities in the Temporal Operative will unlock new Starship Trades. After 15, you will unlock non-linear progression, an unconventional tactic to say the least. Engaging your ship in reverse will offer benefits as you slowly slide backwards in time at a very measured pace. Removes the power beat drain penalty from moving in reverse. After traveling in reverse for 5 seconds, restore a small amount of hull and shields every second while remaining in reverse. I just can think about like, just like backing up very slowly. After 30 abilities, it's improved nonlinear progression, and the function's the same as above. After traveling in reverse for 5 seconds, reduces all recharge timers by 0.2 seconds while every second while remaining in reverse. The below list is a small sampling of the abilities that can be unlocked through the Temporal Operative specialization. Entropic Rider. Your energy weapons gain 2.5% chance of inflicting foes with a physical damage over time, 10% chance with projectiles. Decay Amplification, 10 and 20% dealt by all your activated damage over time effects. Inevitability, Space plus Ground. All exotic damage abilities gain +5, 7.5, 10% recharge speed. All kit module abilities gain 10, 15, 20% recharge ability. Uncertainty, Space and Ground. Activating any exotic damage or kit module ability grants you a moderate amount of temporary hit points for a long duration, can stack 10 times. Temporal Rebuke, 10% chance when struck by a foe within 10 meters. Foe is teleported 30 meters and rooted for 2 seconds. That's a ground ability. Decaying Rebuke, ground. Add a strong physical dot effect to foes that are struck by Temporal Rebuke. Your Anomaly Leash. Your anomaly slowly move toward your current targeted foe, includes Gravity Wells, Tychon's Rift, Subspace Vortex, and more. What? Phasic Artillery. Your mines and targetable torpedoes gain a large amount of temporary hit points after launch. Approximately 5k at level 60. Continuity. Space. Every 3 minutes, when reduced below 10% hull, teleport 8 kilometers backwards, heal a massive amount of hull and shields, and drop all threat versus NPCs. However, you suffer a large reduction of outgoing damage for 20 seconds afterwards. Sounds like a priest fade. Additional abilities can be unlocked with this specialization to enhance and improve your ground and space combat abilities in unique ways. Bridge Officer specialization will allow for it. That's coming up next here. The Temporal Bridge Officers. In the ongoing battle to safeguard the sanctity of the timelines, talented officers from different disciplines are undergoing specialized training to understand and manipulate the flow of time itself, and the occasionally malleable relationship between cause and effect. Training a Temporal Operative. Upon the release of the expansion, existing bridge officers will now have the ability to train in this new specialization through the specialization qualification. The availability of new bridge officers to have Temporal Operative training will be limited, but the Temporal Agent Bundle contains 6 Temporal Operative specialization qualification, i.e. go buy something. Right? Temporal Operative abilities. Localized tricks of causality, glimpses into alternate quantum realities, the speeding up and slowing of time itself. These are tools and tricks that the Temporal Operative brings to aid you in combat. I'm probably going to train one of my bridge officers at this. This is probably going to be a damn trill. This specialization prevents a strong emphasis on science-leaning tactics with a focus on dealing exotic damage, controlling foes' movements, and stripping their defenses. I wouldn't know anybody's playstyle like that. The new entropy mechanic is unique to Temporal Operative bridge officers. Many of their abilities will be classified as either a builder or a consumer, with builders adding one or more application of entropy to the foes affected, while a consumer will remove entropy on the target in order to enhance its effects. in one or more ways. Entropy is source specific, meaning that your consumers cannot benefit from entropy applied by your foe by a teammate. So, cool, I guess. The new UI element will prominently display the amount of entropy currently applied to your foe at all times. That's cool. Each foe may have up to a maximum of 5 applications of entropy present per source. Sweet. So the damage dealt by the temporal operative abilities is classified as physical, since it deals with the destruction of matter at a subatomic level through processes such as decay and rot. This damage, unless specifically designed to influence shields, will instead ignore them entirely. For this reason, the actual damage dealt by temporal officer abilities may at first glance appear to be lower than alternatives, but may actually end up outperforming those alternatives. Afflict a single foe with a physical dot that grows over time. Very quick cooldown, allowing frequent reapplication. Builder adds 1 entropy on last tick. Entropic Contagion. Afflict a foe with a physical dot that lashes out every few seconds to deal damage to nearby foes. Builder. If no other foes are not nearby, each attempt to lash out instead adds 1 entropy to the primary target. Cool. Chronometric Diffusion. Create a field at the foe's location which reduces their run speed and outgoing damage to all foes within it. Scatter field. Builder. Each time a foe in the field has a chance of receiving 1 entropy every second they remain within it. Ooh. Oh my god, there's just more. Okay, here's some consumers. Reverse the effect of recent damage, restoring your health. Although the amount healed is enhanced by entropy applied to the foes, the power does not consume entropy. It remains in play. Temporal Narcosis. Afflict a foe with a long-lasting physical dot which will periodically have a chance to either confuse, slow, root, or disable them. It's a consumer, removes all entropy to increase duration. Paradox Bomb. Create an unstable anomaly at the target's location which will pull foes toward the epicenter for a few seconds before violently exploding. Consumer. Foes with entropy will find it more difficult to escape the anomaly's pull and will take additional damage from the explosion, which removes all entropy. Wow. Table down at the bottom if you want to click the link. There's some space abilities that do this too. Chronometric or Entropic Cascade. Afflict a single foe with a physical dot that oh, that's space. Okay, it's the same rough thing with the lashes out if there's nobody nearby. There's like gravimetric conversion. Instantly drain the shields from all foes within a medium radius around yourself, restoring your own shields by an amount relative to those drained from foes. Consumer. Foes with entropy lose more shields from this ability. But it drains... Oh, it drains the shields from all foes, not drains all the shields from foes. I read that wrong. Which in turn will restore a greater amount to yourself. So it makes that more powerful. Sweet. Oh, and there's a QA down there. So in order to get the Temporal Bridge Officer seating, you're going to have to do the Tier 6 ships. In order to utilize the Temporal Operative space abilities, you must be flying a starship that has a hybrid Temporal Operative Bridge Officer seat. These are not usable in the Universal Profession seats. Yeah, there's the chart of like what it's available at Ensign, Lieutenant Commander, and Commander, and what ranks are available at those. So like Gravity Well for Science is only available at Lieutenant Commander, and then 2 and 3 are available at Commander. It's a very similar chart. Link below. It'll be the last link because I'm done here today. There's a lot of information. I'm going to have to take a while to edit this thing, and I am way more excited about Agents of Yesterday, despite the fact that I'm probably going to have to play through... I want to play through original series stuff. It's like literally my least favorite Star Trek. But anyways, I will chat with you guys next week. What do you think of all this stuff? Talk below. Right, oh my god. The thing comes out we're on the 14th, oh, it's Flag Day. Surprise! 1, 2, come out in 3 weeks, it says? Did it say the 6th? It says coming July 6th, which is a Wednesday. Anyway, so that's 3 weeks away. I will chat with you guys next week. Let's talk about this. What do you think's all going on? Holy crap. Hopefully I'll have either comments about stuff or we'll have like Tier 6 ship stats to go over. Bye.